Alright, what's up everyone? This is Alex here, and I'm going to be going over my month of August, which has actually been my best month yet. I'm almost into trading 2 years, and this is my first 10K plus month, and I came out with a total of 11,389, and that's net profit after all the borrow fees and everything. And I'm gonna go over everything here today, and I'm gonna go over some good trades, kind of things that I look for. Um, I'm not really gonna go through a lot of my trades, and just because this month I actually traded a lot. As you can see, I have a total of 112 trades, and I'm just not gonna go through everything. So I'm just gonna kind of hit a few things that I look for, and I'll give you guys some examples of my trades. So really quick again, awesome month. I'm super excited about it. I hope basically my goal right now is 5K a month, and anything over 5K I'm very excited about. So this 11.4K month is really cool. My gross was 14.2 almost. And my borrow fees were 2,800. So this is kind of what I really don't like, and I would like to figure out a way of how to reduce this number. I mean, I don't. Again, making almost making $11,000 and paying almost 3 grand in borrow fees, or making 14 and paying 3 grand. It's kind of like whatever. Like, I'm doing this from home and doing what I love, and I still made a lot of money. So, kind of looking at it from that perspective, it's whatever. Like, it's fine to pay that much money for borrowed fees, as long as I'm still making good money. But I would like to reduce it to try to see if I can make more in the future. So I'm gonna try to figure out ways how to do that. Anyway, let's go into my stats. I had honestly amazing stats this month. If we take a look, basically personal records, I hit a couple new ones this month. On my daily, a $2,800 win was my best one. That was on the 24th this month. Again, this is net, not gross. On weekly, actually I need to update that, but this is about 4.5. I hit 2 new weekly records this month. I had one earlier in the month for 3.7, and then I think I have another one for like 4.7 this final week of August. And again, I need to update the monthly, but the monthly was going to be this month, which is 11.4. My previous best was in June, which was almost 8.3. Let's see, and my biggest gain on any win is 30%. So anyway, my win rate this month has been extremely high. It's at 98%. Out of all the trades I've taken, I've won on 98% of them. So if I mean, this is pretty unreal, but if I can keep this going, then then I'm gonna be doing really well. But honestly, anything over 8%, I'm happy with. So my average winners are $200. My average losers are $100. So that's 2 to 1. So that's pretty average for me. I would like to get it to 3 to 1. If I can like be winning $300 per trade, losing $100 per trade, that's gonna be very ideal for me. Average percent gain is 10%. Average percent loss is 5%. So you can see again 2 to 1. And let's go into some pattern stats. So my top patterns are going to be first red days. I've been winning about 69% on these. Overextended gap downs, there weren't that many this month, and I was 3 for 3. So it's not the best stats because there's only 3 examples of it, but I'm 100% on those. And then my top pattern is a gap and crap, and I've been winning 88% of those. There's like 40 of those trades, and this is where the majority of my profit comes from, is the gap and crap. And let's see, it's one overextended first red day, yeah. And then scalping, I've done bounce shorts. Here we go. Bounce shorts 76%, and that's my second best pattern. That's 3.5 grand this month. So top 2 is gonna be the bounce short and the gap and crap, and then overextending gap down the first red days. There hasn't been very many first red days. So there's not too much to show for on that pattern. Anyway, I haven't really had any huge losses this month. What I have done is I've put a max loss on my account. So basically, when I hit 500 bucks, I am taken out of all my positions, and I can't trade for the rest of the day. And so that saved me huge losses. The biggest loss day is 722, and again, the reason it's like that is because it takes you out market order. So just because it's you hit 500, by the time the market orders go through, you can be down a little bit more. Plus, there's a fee for every single position you have open, and it's like $30. And I'm gonna trade zero, so if anyone's curious. But so that's why this is 122, because I ended up realizing a lot more, plus the fees and borrow fees on that day. So, but there's nothing crazy like what I went through on Kodak from last month, or maybe it was, yeah, I think it was last month. Oh, yeah, it was last month where I was down unrealized 7K almost because I took it over, just rode that thing up and down. And if I had a max loss of $500 on my account, that would have been prevented. Okay, so let's go into what I look for and a couple of my ideal trades and a couple of mistakes that I want to improve on for next month. But so CLSK was one of them. If we look at if we're looking at the daily, you can see this began its run like June, July time, like July, yeah, and it's been slowly ramping up. And so this one's been a little, and then we had this like more or less of a parabolic 3-day overextension, which I was trying to play. However, it got bought up, and then as you can see, it tried to go higher, failed breakout, and now it's falling. But I played it on this first red day, and I also played on this second. You can see it's a green candle because it closed green, but I was playing it for a second red day because I thought it would, at least go another $1 or so, and it did. However, here's what happened. Let's 15 days. So played this dump day. That was the first red day. So the second red day, I was thinking that I would kind of just go at it the same way that I do as first red days, short morning pop into key levels. So that's what I did. I shorted into this 1125, 1150 area. So I had a pretty good average, and then it basically fell all the way down to 10 bucks. So I was up nearly $1.50. I don't remember exactly my entries, but it was probably up $1. And the mistake I made, let me actually go minute chart. I like that better. It's a little cleaner of a look. Oh, it's more choppier, but I'm just used to it. Anyway, so I didn't take anything off. I didn't take any profit, which was the stupidest thing ever, because as you can see, it came all the way back up and finished at its highs. So that cost me my entire profit on the day. So now what I'm going to be doing is, if I ever play these second red days, or potential second red days, I have a rule set now that I'm going to be taking most, if not all, my profits into the morning panic or fade or whatever we get, because these things can get bought up and reverse again, just like you see on a CLSK. And this has been happening a lot I would say in this new market. Things just don't fall all the way to zero right away. Eventually they do, but not on the first or second red day. So that's kind of this new adjustment I'm going to be making for September. Now, the other one I wanted to go over is time. Now this is just a gap and crap, basically gapped in the morning from let's see, we can see from $1.15-ish, $1.17, call it $1.20, went to $1.80. If we look on the daily, the reason this isn't my favorite, but it's still a great strategy, I'll explain why. It's because you can see on the daily, this had a lot more volume this day than it had any previous day. So the first thing I look at is the daily. I look at, is there any resistance with big volume over the current gap price? If there is, I'm a lot more confident in that short. That day, however, we did not get that. So the next thing I look at is, well, okay, It doesn't have resistance overhead. So what does the daily chart or what does the pre-market chart look like? So as you can see, this had pretty much faded 50%, I would say, off its gap. So it went from 180 down to mid 140s. So when a stock does that, when a stock retraces back 50% of the move or more, it is more unlikely that it'll break out and continue, especially with lower volume. So this ended up trading on a day about 40 million volume. So you can kind of guess that it's probably not going to run, because for a stock to run, you probably need, like 100 million volume in this market. So in this case, I ended up taking just a starter here into this balance, because I thought, it did come from 180 down to 150, not 50%, but that's pretty darn close. So I took a starter here, and then at the market, and then it faded even more, gave me more conviction because it ended up going even lower, and then it spiked in at the open, and then I took the rest of my position here into this morning spike, and then faded it all day. Actually, not all day. I took it down to, I think, high 120s was probably my cover average. So yeah, this is a decent one. Again, you can see that it had kind of conflicting indicators. It didn't really have any resistance, but the chart looked weak, and that was going to fail. So that's why I ended up taking it. I didn't take huge size. But I still made a good gain on that one. CGI. Actually, let's go into MTP first. Now, this MTP is an ideal gap and crap, bounce short, whatever you want to call it. Now, this is a perfect short. As you can see on the daily, every single time that it's ran on some sort of volume, it's failed. This day it gapped, from 3 up to 5, so like 80%, and then ran to 7, ended up failing. This day gapped up huge again, ran huge, but then gave back all its gains, most of it. This day here, gapped up, ran, failed. And then this day, again here, a lot less volume. Again, as you can see, gap, a lot less volume, so it just crapped the whole day. Now this is exactly what I look for a gap and crap. Again, I learned this pattern just from Steven Johnson. Me and him are trading buddies now. We trade together, so it's really cool. We bounce ideas off each other all the time. Anyway, so I traded this on both days. Let's look into the intraday. So this first time that this was on the 14th, if you wanted to cross-reference. This is kind of an interesting chart because it spiked, but then gave back all its gain and just kind of floated around and did nothing into the open. And then you get this morning spike, which I shorted into. Actually, no, never mind. I didn't short into the morning spike. I was kind of nervous because, this is a funky looking chart, not exactly my ideal pre-market chart. So I waited for this huge spike, and then I got into as it started failing. Didn't really offer any bounce, and then it just kind of faded all day. So you can, this is a double top. This is kind of a perfect entry to play into, and then you can size in more as it starts failing. What I did wrong was I took a very, very small starter here, what I should have done is I should have taken it into this move here at the double top. I thought it might go higher, but it was a failed breakout and failed. So this was a little bit of a tricky chart to play. I didn't make too much on this one. The better trade I had on it was this following day. It had created a lot of resistance from the chart we just looked at. So basically I just shorted into this bounce here and covered it into the fade. So very clean. Again, perfect daily. Resistance everywhere. Gives back its gains every single time. So fairly easy gap and crap short, honestly. And then my absolutely ideal trade and pattern that I always look for was on OPGN. This is more or less of a Steven Ducks. I know he didn't actually trade this because it didn't gap high enough for him. I thought this was, I thought he would be like going all in, honestly, on this one, but apparently it just didn't gap enough for him. But this gapped up plenty for me. As you can see here on the daily, on the 7th it had a big green day, kind of failed, and then it just gave back all its gains the next few days. So it created 200 million resistance on this day. Like, that's honestly a lot. For this market, maybe not as much, but basically the next time around when it gaps, it's most likely going to fail in 200 million volume. As you can see this day, it did just that. It gapped to 350-ish. The resistance was at 450, and it completely just crapped all day. So this is exactly what I look for. I took quite a bit of shares into this one, and this one made a good chunk of my profit for the month. So let's see if we can even find it. Yeah, so here's how this one played out this day. So basically this one gapped very late into pre-market, basically into the open, ran all day, or ran into midday, and then kind of just started fading back down. The following day, I'm pretty sure that they PR this and it gapped, but then it couldn't hold its gains and it failed. So if you look here, this gaps straight into all of this resistance here. So basically anybody that bought here within the float range that hasn't sold is now down pretty much like all hold on, from like, okay, they're down like 40% if anybody's still holding, you know. So, and as you can see, this gaps right into that resistance. So honestly, your key level is right here and it gaps there, so that's perfect to take entries there. So pre-market, that's exactly what I did. I was just shorting this, adding into any pops, and it just completely dumped out of the open and faded. And I didn't catch the exact, actually no, this one I traded very, very well because I ended up getting a very good average, and I covered the rest. Like, I was covering into all these little cracks, and my last covers were, I believe, 255 or 256, and it went down to 254. So pretty much bottom ticked it. My average was like 260 though, just because I was covering as it was going down. But this is the exact chart I look for. So anything that's ran before and has given back its gains, the next time it gaps up or spikes, it's probably going to fail if it's on lower volume. So this is my ideal pattern that I look for. The last one I wanted to talk about was CGIX. Very interesting one. As you can see on the daily, when this gapped, so the volume was a lot higher than anything that we have. Let's look. Yeah, so this is fresh volume, no real resistance. So if you're looking to short, you know, you start there on the daily. Seeing that it's never had any real volume before is a very tough short you probably want to avoid. Let's look at the intraday. The reason I play this, the other thing is Cancer. Cancer is definitely a lot hotter of a, or has, I guess, a lot more potential for a stock to run just because it's cancer. If you can cure cancer or any sort of cancer, there's a lot of money in that, and you know, nobody wants to die. So for the most part, besides cancer, biotechs are kind of crap. But if it's cancer, then you might want to be a little bit just on the cautious side. However, the technicals of this chart, and statistically, this should fail. And the reason I say that is because from everything that I've tracked, from this kind of action, so this was up about 200%, I think, or so, pre-market. The float, I believe might have been even lower than this because there were some institutional owned shares. But if not, either way, a 2 mil float is very, very low. I would consider this in this market a micro float. Now, the reason I say that this was technically and statistically a good short is because everything that I've tracked, any float up to 3 mil, like 95% of the time fails if it gaps up, especially if it gaps up over 100%. So this was gapping up 200%, It's a micro float. Yes, it's very, very dangerous, and this thing can run. So you need to have a very good stop, but it has a very high likelihood of failing, technically speaking. Fundamentally, terrible short, don't take it. So when you look at this and you have fundamentals that say no, and then you have technicals that say yes, that's like a 50-50% trade. Like, those are very bad odds to take. But I just ended up taking it. I didn't take huge size, so I was playing it safe, and failed breakout here in the morning, and then gave it back pretty much. Faded just into the close. So I would not recommend this short to any new traders starting out, just because not a high odds setup, and you know, the next one, this one can run to 20. You don't know. Like, this can squeeze very hard, so you can lose a lot of your money. But on the daily, this still looks very interesting, because now it's held this like 5. It could be a liquidity trap, because there's absolutely no volume coming in through these next days. So any shorts, or you know, anybody really, once this starts going, they're going to start covering on a 2 mil float. This thing can spike and squeeze really hard. So I'm definitely still on watch to see what this does. Could do nothing, but again, this definitely does have the potential to keep going. All right, guys, that's a wrap. That's kind of my month. My goals for next month is to keep a high win rate again. My goal is to eliminate mistakes. I'm going to be going through pretty much all my trades again, just trying to eliminate a lot of mistakes that I've done. Sticking to better setups. I've traded a lot this month. I want to cut down on a lot of trades, because a lot of trades I've taken with lower odds, and I've just been like more or less, you know, right on them. Kind of maybe gone lucky on some of them. I want to, and some I haven't, and so that's why I've had some losses too. So I want to cut down on low odds setups, stick to just the best ones, stick to my favorite ones. Yeah, take less trades. Big issue I have still is shorting support, kind of like anticipating a breakdown. A lot of times I get squeezed on those, so I want to cut those out. But again, my goal is going to be just another 5K month. If I can just do 5K into the end of the year, I'd be very happy. That's kind of just where I'm at so far in trading. Again, I hit a really nice month. I don't expect to hit 11K again next month. Just 5K would be perfect for me. I'd be completely happy with that, but we'll see. All right, guys, just if you like this video, click like, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Just come back next month, and I'm going to be doing another recap, and hopefully it's going to be a good one. See you guys later. Peace.